Welcome back to the Relaxing Ghost channel here on YouTube. Today, I'm going to do my favorite SmackDown moments of all time. Got about 20 matches and moments here from over the years. Hope you guys really enjoy this because SmackDown was usually what I watched in the early parts of its inception in 99 and 2000, which was a pretty fun time. So I'm going to have to get used to this new camera and make some adjustments here. So yeah, I hope some people can join me and set up the SmackDown DVDs. They only made 5 SmackDown DVDs over the years, and that's including this Tough Enough $1 million Tough Enough DVD. And we got a couple anniversary sets, the Eddie Guerrero SmackDown DVD. So hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into this, guys. These are in no particular order, by the way. These are just going to be me running down some of the greatest moments from my opinions and whatnot. Anyways, let's get into this with Triple H and The Rock opening up SmackDown, the first episode from August 1999. Triple H was the WWF champion here, and he would face The Rock in the first ever SmackDown main event. Of course, this featured Commissioner Shawn Michaels, who would interfere in the match and eventually cost The Rock the championship. That was a fun little segment there, and just really beginning kind of Triple H and The Rock's main event run. And we would see them go at it quite often in the next year, in 2000. Should have been the main event of WrestleMania 2000, but it kind of turned into the McMahons. What's up, man? How you doing? 2004 Punk. What's up? So, like Triple H and The Rock, they did have their thing going with DX and the Nation back in '98. They turned their feud up to the next level, fighting for a spot in the main event at I think it was Fully Loaded in '98, or yeah, Fully Loaded in '99. Sorry, which led to their big feud there into 2000. Triple H smashing the sledgehammer with The Rock inside the casket and whatnot. This was pretty cool for me. We got the women's Money in the Bank ladder match from 2017 up next. Not sure if this will make any of your lists, but I thought this was on par with the one they had at the pay-per-view the week prior. For sure, guys, make sure you comment down below all your favorite SmackDown moments. I'm sure there will be many, but I'm glad they kind of stuck with Carmella in this and really pushed her, because I think it did her a lot of favors. If they just gave it to Charlotte or someone else, I don't think it would have really meant anything. But it did a lot for Carmella. It really helped her career. Because at the time she just kind of came off as a joke, and this thing really helped her. I think it established her quite well, and her and Ellsworth had really good chemistry as well. So this worked in a lot of ways to really elevate two people rather than just one. Charlotte, Becky, whoever else was in that match in 2017, they were all pretty well established. So giving it to Carmella really did her a lot of favors. Up next, we got the Stone Cold Steve Austin playing the guitar to Mr. McMahon and Kurt Angle, all those fun segments that happened there during the invasion angle, actually. So this stuff is hilarious. If you've never seen Stone Cold Steve Austin singing to Vince McMahon, this is must watch WWF. This will really make you laugh. and Stone Cold playing the "I am the champion" and all that, kumbaya. And then not sure if Austin and Vince and the Kurt with the cowboy hats, and they gave Kurt the little hat. I'm not sure if that was on SmackDown, but that's one of my all-time favorite segments there with Kurt Angle with the little cowboy hat. Just absolutely hilarious. It's kind of like an inside rib, and they're letting Kurt tag along because they kind of feel sorry for him. And here, towards the end of that, Austin would turn on the WWF, and then Angle, he would have that great feud with Kurt Angle. So that was kind of cool. They really built something out of both these guys being somewhat injured, but still keeping them on TV with these funny segments. And for a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin to sit there playing the guitar to McMahon, who knew how funny these things would turn out? Yeah, man. Same with me here. This is a 2004 Punk. Uh, I don't think it was bad as some people say. It was pretty funny to me, pretty hilarious. And we got another fan here saying hello. Big fan of the channels. So thank you for watching, man. Appreciate all the support from the fans and the subscribers. Um, so moving along here, back to 1999. This was the September 9th, 1999. We had a tag team buried alive match for the main event. The Big Show and the Undertaker putting the titles on the line versus the Rock and Sock Connection. This is the only buried alive tag team match, and I think it's one of the only buried alive matches for a championship other than Taker versus Kane was that for the title in 2010. This was insane. Big Show and Taker were kind of running the show here in the tag division. Two monsters. You got 500 Big Show, who was pretty much a rookie, even though he was like 5-6 years in the business by this point. Big Show joins up with the Undertaker, who is this evil man with the Ministry of Darkness, and they're the tag champs, just destroying everyone. And then the Rock and Sock Connection trading the belts back and forth. This was a fun match. I always enjoyed seeing Mick Foley getting tossed off the stage onto the grave of dirt and in the hole. That was like a 50-yard throw from the Big Show on Mankind. Wow. No wonder he retired 5 months later. But this one, this is kind of a forgotten SmackDown memory, and it did end when Triple H distracting the Rock, pulls the Rock aside, and then Taker and Big Show kind of double team Mankind, retaining the titles. Pretty sure that's how it went down. Next up, Brock Lesnar versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan from early 2002 here, June of 2002, I believe. Brock Lesnar was getting this mega push here in 2002. And I believe this was right before King of the Ring. Sorry, I'm going to make sure all messages are visible. And Brock Lesnar got this huge push right out of the gate. And they were putting a lot of gas on this, man. He made Hollywood Hulk Hogan pass out from a bear hug. Now, it doesn't really seem that believable, but it's Brock Lesnar, who was like 300 pounds at the time, and Hollywood Hulk Hogan was like the ultimate legend around this point. We'll get to a few more Hogan towards the end of this, but for me, that was pretty much pulling the sword out of the stone with this push of Lesnar. I think a month later, whatever, Lesnar would win the King of the Ring, or that same month, maybe even a couple of weeks later. So this was like almost the end of Hogan's WWE career. I think he would return for Mania 19, but that was it. you rarely seen Hogan lose by submission, so you knew this was a big time deal here. And I think they pretty much would have did the same with Austin and Lesnar, I think, because they were supposed to have some sort of qualifying match as well, right? Austin and Lesnar. And that's why Austin walked out, because he didn't want to put Lesnar over. So I think they gave that spot to Hogan, unless that wasn't even a qualifier. Yeah. Paul Heyman swallowing a bar of soap. So I've always been a fan of Lesnar going back to 2002 when I first seen this man. And, ultimately they did put a lot of gas on him. They pushed him to the top fairly quickly, winning King of the Ring, beating The Rock at SummerSlam, becoming one of the youngest WWE champions in history. He went against Taker, Hell in a Cell, and then he main evented WrestleMania the following year. And he won the Rumble the following year as well. So they really put a lot of stock into Lesnar. It's kind of sucks he walked out in 04, but Brock Lesnar will be on this list a few times as well, because I think he was definitely a building block on SmackDown. He really helped cement that brand. My early memories of SmackDown are pretty cool, because this is like my favorite roster from that 2002 to 2004 or 5 era. That's probably one of the greatest eras in WWE history, just from the talent alone. We got a deep talent roster now, but back then that was just incredible. Next up, Mr. McMahon winning the WWE Championship in '99. Is this going to be, a 5-star classic? Probably not, but seeing McMahon win the title is definitely history making for me. And he beat Triple H nonetheless with the help of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He would, vacate the title, whatever, but this is really strange to me how this all went down. If they really wanted to take the belt off Triple H and put it on Vince, whatever. Was it needed? Probably not, but overall, I think it made for a hell of a moment. Next up, I'm going to fast forward a year to 2000, April of 2000. And Triple H versus Taz, WWF champion versus ECW champion. This was really cool to see. Seeing Taz was already in WWE by this point, and seeing him, he would end up going to ECW as a WWF guy, facing Mike Awesome, who was a WCW guy, and winning the ECW championship. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff going on there. And they didn't want the belt going to Awesome in WCW, so they took it off Taz, who would willingly drop the belt a fairly short time later. So this was really cool, seeing a WWE champion versus the ECW champion. This may be the only time it's ever happened, apart from when we got WW ECW a few years after this. But that was really cool, seeing Taz and Triple H, two of my favorites at this time. I don't think Triple H liked it. There's a lot of rumors of Triple H burying ECW and WCW throughout the years. So, Triple H definitely had his cheap shots going and whatnot, but this was cool for the fans. It's kind of sucks that we never got any other cross promotions over the years, so this will always be something I remember. And yes, TLC 3 is definitely on this list at some point. One of the awesome matches from SmackDown all over the times. Sucks they don't acknowledge it. Coming up next here, we got the DX Express. Who remembers that thing? I'm gonna grab a shot of my orange G Fuel G2. Stone Cold Steve Austin blowing up the DX Express in, I think, 2000 at some point, maybe even late 99. That was, the Stone Cold Wrecking Crew, where I think Austin was out injured by this point, so it would have been late 2000 or mid 2000. Triple H was with DX. They were the McMahon Helmsley regime, or whatever the hell they were called, McMahon Helmsley faction. DX 2000, as I like to call them. You had, the Stooges, you had Triple H, Road Dogg, X Pac, Tori, maybe a few others I can't remember, but Billy Gunn was in there, in and out of there as well in 2000. But that was my favorite part of DX. Seeing that Austin just come in, blow up the DX Express. I think it was before Backlash or Judgment Day or one of those pay-per-views where Rock was like, Austin is here, and then they pointed on the Titantron or the Ovaltron, and Triple H is watching Austin. He's cussing him out, and then he drops this big old thing on the DX Express. Really cool. And then they would end up towing it around from city to city a couple of times. That's crazy how much money they were spending on, little production items like that. To blow up a massive bus like that, that's got to be, $500,000 damage, just to kind of blow away and say, we made an awesome moment out of this. Next up is going to come from 2001. Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was the WWF champion, versus Chris Benoit. And this would take place in Edmonton, Alberta, Chris Benoit's hometown. This was an awesome moment and an awesome match. I think this was right before King of the Ring 2001, May or June of 01, where they went to Edmonton once in a great while. And luckily, Benoit was right before his neck injury, too. So him and Austin, though, had this fantastic match. And Austin's gone on record saying, I told Chris, just follow me. Don't worry about time or anything. SmackDown was taped anyway, so they could have edited down the match and whatnot. And then these guys go out, have this fantastic match. Benoit hits like 10 Germans on Stone Cold during the match. Benoit's just over as hell in Edmonton. And then, Austin does end up retaining the title, but they still had this fantastic match there. And that's a really cool accomplishment, have this awesome match with someone in their hometown. So I'm glad Steve looked back on that match fairly positive, considering, everything that's happened. And, give it to Benoit, man. This guy was a machine in 2001. I think 2001 would probably be one of Benoit's best wrestling years, from his stuff with Jericho and Kurt Angle. Benoit was on fire. So coming in at number 10, we are about halfway through this. I do have a few honorable mentions. I'm going to rank this one about here. It might be number 1 on your list, but it's number 10 on mine. The September 11th show. Being Canadian, I have no, I don't know. It's weird being Canadian and talking about stuff that happens in other countries. This is a very emotional SmackDown after 9/11. The first public gathering in an arena or whatever it was. So it's very emotional, all the people that sadly lost their lives in the terrorist attacks of 2001 World Trade Centers. So it's a very emotional moment. I wasn't sure how to really rank this one, but I think number 10 is fair. It might be number one or two on your list. So if if you enjoy that SmackDown, comment down below. Number 9, Edge versus Eddie Guerrero, Latino Heat in 2002. I believe this one was also in September. And Edge and Guerrero were both hungry and young, and they were part of the SmackDown 6. SmackDown 6 would be Edge, Rey Mysterio, the two Guerreros, Eddie and Chavo, Benoit and Kurt Angle, designed by Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman said, whatever mixture you put of these 6 guys, you could always come up with a awesome matchup. And we would see a combination of these matches throughout 2002 and into 03 when Heyman was running SmackDown as I think he was head of creative back then, or he was booking SmackDown, writing SmackDown, however you want to put it. So Heyman put these 6 guys together, whether together or against other guys. These were going to be his top 6 guys that he pushed. And when Eddie and Edge had their matches, they were always intense. They were brutal. These guys could tell stories for days, and they always had more to come. I think they did fight for the IC title a few times, but at this point in late 2002, there was no US title yet on SmackDown, and there was no IC title on Raw either, which is weird. They abolished the IC title at No Mercy that year when Triple H and Kane unified the world title and the IC title. So that's how Austin described it. Some jackass ended up abolish the IC title, that being Bischoff. So they had no mid-card titles on either brand for a short period of time, which I think didn't really hurt the product, because when it came to pay-per-views, I think you still had 4 world title matches with the cruiserweights, the 2 world titles, the tag titles, and then you could have had a couple one-off matches here and there. So Edge and Guerrero, they had this no DQ match on SmackDown, and they just beat the hell out of each other. This was a really fun match. Definitely check it out. I know it's on Edge's DVD. It might also be on Guerrero's DVD. Really fun stuff. Hey man, what's going on? Thank you for joining the stream today. If you got any favorite SmackDown memories you want to talk about, feel free to comment down below. Next up here, Triple H versus Jeff Hardy for the IC title. Again, this is shortly after, I think, WrestleMania. Might even be May or early May. Early April, early May, somewhere around there. After WrestleMania 17. So Triple H is now the Intercontinental Champion. And I think he's been teaming with Austin now. And Triple H is the IC champ. And he's got this thing going with the Hardys. Austin and Triple H are beating the hell out of the Hardys and Lita with chairs. And Jeff Hardy comes in, winning the IC title from former champion Triple H. Winning the IC title, I think, was still a big deal at this point in time. There was no more WCW by this point. WCW had been bought by WWE, but they still had yet to bring everyone in. That would come a few months later. So I think this was a fun match. It got Jeff Hardy over. The guy was already super over. Pulling the title off him quickly, though, I don't think that was the right idea. Triple H, I think, won it back Monday Night Raw later. So they gave Jeff Hardy a pretty big win here on SmackDown. Oh, okay. your favorite moment was when John Cena first came to WWE. Well, speaking of that, that might be in a few more hits here. Next up, fairly big moment. Before the top five, I'll get to the honorable mentions here. The next one here, The Big Show versus Brock Lesnar from June of 2003, breaking the ring. This is probably one of my all-time favorite moments in WWE. I can remember this clearly when I was sitting back over here, probably on my bed, watching SmackDown, and this was totally unexpected. We've never seen anything like this, ring exploding. I mean, we've seen Undertaker and Kane chokeslam guys through the ring and whatnot, but this was nothing like that. This was like boom, ba boom, and off of a big superplex. This was like unbelievable. Taz with the holy shit chant, and this was something I'll remember forever. It was cool when they did it a couple more times in 2011. They did it at the Vengeance pay-per-view. And they broke the ring. That's really cool. Something they can do like that. And then I think they did it last year, right, with Braun Strowman and Big Show. So that's something cool. You know, it's not something you're gonna do every day or every year or whatever, but when they do pull it out, it's something you're gonna remember. So I'll always remember Brock and Big Show. They had this pretty big feud going on, and I don't really think they wanted to beat either guy. So let's break the ring one day. So that was 10, 9, 8. Number 6. Or wait. Or then, yeah, this isn't number 6. This is number 7. Edge cashing in on The Undertaker in 2007. This was still a new concept in 2007. There had only been a couple of other Money in the Bank winners in 2007. We had Edge, so this was his second go around with the briefcase, and then after that we had RVD, who cashed in, announcing his cash in. So we didn't really know what to expect from this Money in the Bank thing at the time. We knew you could, ask for a match anytime. We just thought it was pretty cool, and randomly, you'll never know when it's gonna happen. They keep these things locked up pretty tight, and this was right after Undertaker and Batista would have a brutal cage match. If I'm getting my timeline right, no, I don't think it's that same night. But whatever night it was some point in May or June of 2007. Taker retains his title or something. Mark Henry comes out, I believe, squashes him like a bug, and Edge cashes in. I think I might be getting this whole thing wrong, but seeing Edge cash in for the second straight time, winning the World Heavyweight title, is just incredible. This is like something that I think has maintained its surprise ability throughout the years. There's been a few bad ones here and there, but for the most part, Money in the Bank is easily one of the most things to look forward to every year. So Edge, this might have been Edge's first world title as well. He'd been the WWE champion, but never the world champ. So next up is number 6, Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles from 2018 for the WWE Championship. Yeah, man, pretty cool to see Carmelo winning Money in the Bank. I actually just talked about that at the beginning of the video, and I thought that really helped Carmella and James Ellsworth kind of built up two superstars at once. So if after the video is up and going, feel free to check out what you missed. So next up, I had Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. This was the beginning of heel Daniel Bryan. And this is a match I always looked forward to, Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. Hopefully they'll wrestle again at some point. Two of my all-time favorites, Bryan and Styles. Styles is, I think he's being used correctly in WWE. I had my doubts at times, but, they're pushing him steadily. They haven't done too much harm to him. And this was the end of, babyface Daniel Bryan, at least for a while. And I thought this was fantastic. Daniel Bryan just stomping away on AJ's face, cheating to win the WWE title. Who knew? Who would knew that that could get someone over, cheating to win? It does work. And then I thought it was the right move, putting the title on Daniel Bryan. I didn't expect it at that point in time. I honestly thought they would have kept him face, have him win the title as a babyface, but his heel run was a success, and it is proof. Put a little gas behind someone, push him either as a heel or as a face, give him wins, give him a title, and elevate the title. And it made one of the greatest matches at WrestleMania 35 this year, when Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. That was incredible. Kofi Mania was real, and I'm happy they put the belt on Bryan, because I'm happy they put the belt on Kofi afterwards. So again, you kind of elevated two guys with this one win here. So before we get to the top five, let's run through a few honorable mentions. First up, from 2000, I think 3 or 4, maybe even 5. I think it's 2005 actually. Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero in a steel cage. This must have been around Great American Bash or SummerSlam or something. Eddie Guerrero could never beat Rey Mysterio as many matches as they had. And then they finally had this steel cage match. Fantastic. These guys must have the best chemistry I've ever seen between two people. I'd never see them calling spots. I never hear them talking to each other. And it just flows so perfectly. Whatever they do, they're going up here, they're going around here, they're up and down and all around the ring. Eddie Guerrero is probably one of the more underrated guys in the history. When people talk about their favorites, it's always, Austin Rock, Hogan, Flair, and then even Cena, Orton, guys like this. But Eddie Guerrero could do it, heel, face, whatever. Next up, for the honorable mentions, Triple H competes in 5 matches on SmackDown. This was right before Unforgiven 99, and Mr. McMahon would make Triple H compete in 5 separate matches. So this was after McMahon wins the title. It says, you want your shot at the 6-pack challenge, you got to compete against the Big Show. You got to compete against Kane, Taker, Rock, and Mankind all tonight. You win 3 out of 5 matches, and you're in the 6-pack challenge. So a couple of these matches were impossible to win. Chokeslam challenge against the Big Show, not happening. He won the Inferno match, and then he had a casket match against Undertaker. This was Undertaker's last appearance until Judgment Day of the last year. Undertaker did not wrestle. He walked out and didn't come back. So the casket match still happened with Mideon and Viscera. It turned into a handicap casket match. Again, impossible to win because you had to put both Mideon and Viscera in the same casket. That ain't happening. That's impossible. He won the Boiler Room Brawl against Mankind, and then he won the Brahma Bull Rope match against The Rock with the help of the British Bulldog. So this was kind of flashbacks to the first episode of SmackDown when Shawn Michaels screwed over Rock. Now Bulldog screwed over Rock. So it's Triple H did get her done. He won the 305, and he went on to win the title at Unforgiven. And the last honorable mention here is going to be the Kevin Owens headbutt to Mr. McMahon. Oh, was that on SmackDown when the Bellas came to WWE? Hi, Brian. Hi. I heard the Young Bucks offer Impact Wrestling. It's pretty interesting. So, Kevin Owens headbutt to McMahon. This was almost unheard of at this time. I think this was pretty crazy. You seen Vince McMahon bleeding from his head. Whether that was hard way or intentional, I don't know. But at this point, we rarely see McMahon on TV. So when he's on TV, it's pretty memorable as it is. So headbutting Mr. McMahon is something pretty memorable that I'll always remember. And I think they did this way too many times with Kevin Owens when his match with Shane McMahon, even a few years ago, going back to this time. If Owens loses, he's fired. They did that way too many times now. I don't think they should ever do that again. But I think we're going to get it again. Usually anytime anyone's in there with McMahon, it's always memorable. Just because it's a segment with McMahon. So the top 5 favorite SmackDown moments. Number 5, Hulk Hogan in Montreal of 2002. This was just incredible, the ovation this guy got. I believe it happened again in 03, but this went on for a good 10 to 15 minutes. This ovation was just massive. It was like the return of Hulkamania, and I think it was right after WrestleMania 18. These fans just absolutely loved Hulk Hogan. I mean, the guy couldn't even talk. They went to commercial. They came back. They were still erupting in cheers and joy for Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan may be one of the greatest of all time. Whether people want to admit it or not, I definitely would put him in the top 5. Seeing this kind of reaction here is just kind of mind-blowing. This really kind of solidifies Hogan as one of the top men. It's something I'd like to see happen more often. Just kind of, we do get the opposite, though, when fans booed the hell out of Roman Reigns there after he beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And then again at Hell in a Cell 2019, where it's the opposite reaction they want when fans just kind of boo the hell out of it. They hate it so much. And then they're chanting all these obscure things, and it's not what you want on your TV show. You want these crazy emotional moments like this when you're cheering and cheering for this man for a good 10 to 15 minutes. And I think he did try to calm him down during commercial, but he just kept posing and whatnot, and they just went even crazier. Number 4, we're getting to this now, so thank you for mentioning it. John Cena's debut in 2002 versus Kurt Angle. What makes you think you can hang with Kurt Angle? Ruthless aggression. And I'll tell you what, man, seeing this kid, John Cena, in 2002 hanging with a former WWE champion, this was pretty fun. This was awesome. I wish they had a guy like this now. I think this would be a good role for Triple H to kind of come out and challenge guys every week. Try to get someone over the 5-minute challenge. We don't really have those guys now. They kind of lump everyone together. You got these guys have all been around for many years, and the younger guys are just barely scratching the surface. So you're either a longtime veteran or you're fairly new. Like guys like Sami Zayn, Owens, even AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan have been around for years. So it's hard to lump them into all together. They kind of did this with Carrillo and Rollins on Monday. But, nobody knew who John Cena was in 2002. I mean, if you did, you watched OVW. But other than that, no one really heard of this guy. He was the prototype prior to this. So kind of gave him a new name, a new gimmick, and eventually another gimmick with the Doctor of Thugonomics. So this is what started it all, going on 18 years ago. Next up, number 3, CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy in a steel cage match from 2009. This, I don't know if I'd consider this in the top 5 or not, but it did make my list. And this was Jeff Hardy's last match in WWE for, 8 years, 7.5 years or something like this. But I was really shocked to see Jeff Hardy go. And I was really shocked afterwards when he showed up in TNA. This was the end of a really good feud. In 2009, they had a series of great matches from their TLC at SummerSlam. They had a match at, I think, Great American Bash that year, or the Bash. I think it was called the Bash. It's just the Bash now. Nothing's great or American anymore. It's just the Bash. I think that is one of the laziest pay-per-view names ever. The Bash. Let's just call it Wrestle, that's it. Wrestle 36. But CM Punk, I thought he was definitely getting the proper run here in 2009 until The Undertaker squashed him at Hell in a Cell. It really shows, the kind of depth they had even 10 years ago with CM Punk, Hardy, Undertaker. I was definitely sad to see Jeff Hardy leave here. But this was a hell of a cage match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Not sure what happened there. Got some weather issues, I think. And number 2, the TLC 3 match from May of 2001, which really just kind of came out of nowhere. This was the aftermath of Triple H getting injured. Triple H tore his quad on Monday, and the next day, they're having this TLC match, which aired Thursday on SmackDown. So this was the forgotten TLC match on SmackDown, the 4th ever TLC match. I think it's only on one DVD, the ladder match DVD. So this was, I think, the Dudleys, the Hardys, Edge and Christian versus Jericho and Benoit. This might be one of my favorite TLC matches, if I have to be honest. The originals will always be atop the list, whether it's WrestleMania 17 or the SummerSlam 2000 match. No, this was TLC 3. Yeah, because yeah, TLC 2 was at Mania 17. TLC 4 from Raw in 2002. So they didn't do TLCs too much, even at this time. I'm not a fan of the TLC pay per views or Hell in a Cell pay per views. I think those should just, you know, be pay per views that are taken away. Hell in a Cell needs to stop. This is one of the worst pay per views ever. Every year, every October, we know it's coming. We know it's going to be bad. And I'm not a fan of any of these Hell in a Cell pay per views anymore. And same with TLC, you know, I think similar to Hell in a Cell, you need these high stakes in matches. You need to have them at any point during the year, not just because it's December. We need to have a TLC match, or not just it's October. We need to have a TLC or a Hell in a Cell match. So this will always be remembered because Jericho and Benoit won the tag titles, and or it might ever be forgotten if WWE has a part in it because of Benoit's involvement. But they just won the titles the Monday prior, so putting them in a TLC match was kind of weird and unexpected, even to the wrestlers involved. I think they definitely pulled it off. This was a hell of a match. We got 8 guys in there going through tables and ladders and chairs. I think Bubba gets knocked out at one point, or Benoit. Benoit gets taken out of the match and returns for the finish. So this is pretty crazy here. And finally, number 1. Let me know your favorite SmackDown moments, or at least your favorite overall. You don't have to name 10 or 20 or whatever. Just your number 1. For me, it's going to be the Iron Man match between Lesnar and Angle in 2003 for the WWE Championship. This was something I could get into. Seeing these two guys go at it, they had a great match at Mania. And then I think they had one match after that, and this was kind of the rubber match. So Lesnar ends up winning the title here for, I think, the 3rd time. And this is one of my favorite matches to go back and watch. Favorite Iron Man matches anyway. And it is on a few DVDs. It's on the Best of 2000s if you have that. I think it's on one of the Lesnar DVDs. So it is on a few DVDs anyway. So this was an awesome time in SmackDown. So in 2003, we didn't have a SmackDown pay-per-view every month. We had the brand split, and it was like every month or every other month you would have a brand exclusive pay-per-view. So on the months where Raw's pay-per-view would happen, SmackDown would try to do something special, and which is kind of what happened here. And Raw did the same. You know, they would do pretty big matches as well. But I'll always remember this Iron Man match just kind of came out of nowhere. And I think that's where this was after the ring breaking. Or yeah, maybe the week prior to the ring breaking. So Lesnar and Angle just completely tore it up. And those guys, again, they had great chemistry. They like taking it to each other. They like to, you know, compete with one another. Former wrestlers. I could get into that. You know, they both had great stories, great amateur backgrounds, and fighting for this WWE title for 60 minutes in an incredible match. I think it's better than Rock and Triple H. From a wrestling standpoint, I'm not sure if I like it more than that, but those are probably my 2 favorites. And some people like Brett and Shawn, but that match is not for me. Anyways, hope y'all enjoyed the top 20 SmackDown moments celebrating 20 years of WWE's SmackDown show. It's a show I've seen for the past 20 years now, and Had a lot of great ups and downs. So take some time, comment down below all your favorite SmackDown memories. We'll talk to you later. Peace.